I want to approach the election not so much from personalities, Hillary versus Trump. I want to approach it from the standpoint that an election tests a free people. It's like an exam. And let's look at who passed and who failed the exam. And then think about what is to be done of who passed and who failed. Where do we go from here? We're all in this together. Civic ownership is a phrase that I've got in one of my books. It's a fancy way of saying we're all in the same boat. We're all in this together. In a free society, nobody's just a passenger. We all have to do our part. We all participate in deciding how to steer and how fast to go and how to stay away from the obstacles and the shallow water and the icebergs. Can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine running a ship like I served on with 100 officers and men, U.S. Navy submarine Bonefish, in the dangerous waters of the Western Pacific, and doing it by vote? And then you do it with a nation of 330 million people that have to steer the ship of state by voting. What a miracle it is that we make it work. Who passed? Who failed? What do we do from here? I probably published more Donald Trump list articles than anybody from the day that I came out in the Denver Post morning after the Indiana primary and said, here are 10 reasons I switched to Trump. That was one of the articles. Another one was 8 eternal rewards of voting Republican. I haven't been invited to lunch by CCU theology professors since then. I'm not sure that they like that logic. The one I want to dwell on right now was called 5 Exam Questions That Are Going to Test Americans in 2016. And this was published in late June, but it stands up pretty well in mid-November. And I pointed out that the parties are tested against each other, the candidates are tested against each other, but ultimately all of us who vote and participate in that decision of how to steer the ship of state, it's a test for us all. And my 5 exam questions were these. How urgently do we as Americans want relief from sluggish economic growth and stagnant living standards that punish the middle class while the rich thrive? Secondly, how alarmed are we about the global Islamic movement with its intent to conquer America through jihad and Sharia? Third, how much do we value our sovereign nationhood in the face of a silent invasion by foreigners contemptuous of our laws? Fourth, how fed up are we? How fed up are we with anti-American elites telling us what words are unspeakable and what thoughts are unthinkable? And fifth, once again, it's an arbitrary list, just like the 5 Armstrong keys we talked about. But number 5 on my list is, what's left of the don't tread on me spirit that once kept Americans from being herded like sheep by slanted media and corrupt politicians? We, the people, gave our answer. The popular vote very evenly divided last Tuesday. The electoral vote very solidly, decisively in favor of the answer to those 5 questions that we were going to, in fact, choose economic dynamism, not decline. We were going to choose survival as a free people, not subjection to those who want to make America a Muslim nation, and they are out there. Believe me, I am not exaggerating. We choose survival, not subjection. That's part of what the election results mean. We chose sovereignty, not surrender to the open borders idea that America must surrender our culture and our prosperity to the less fortunate from the corners of the earth. We asserted that we are determined to be free-thinking, not thought-controlled as a people. And finally, that we intend to be a self-governed people, not a servile people led around by a slanted media and corrupt politicians. We could go on and on with more exam questions, but those are the 5 that stood out to me in June, and I think they stand the test of time quite well in November. We, the people, passed the exam. That's the good news. The less good news is it was graded on a curve, because the choice between candidates, their character, their fitness to lead, their honesty, their policies, the coherence of their policies. You could take apart Trump's platform and campaign speeches, I'm afraid, almost as devastatingly as you could Hillary Clinton's, and find them at self-contradiction. So relatively, I told people I preferred Trump, not because I found him a famous and admirable man, a praiseworthy man, but because on balance I saw him as safer hands who would do less harm to America in the presidency than the hands of Hillary Clinton. But America, I think, in choosing wisely between the two options, we need to then take another look at how did our institutions do in presenting us with these two finalists. And I must submit to you that most of our institutions didn't pass the exam in 2016. America is in a better place today than we were a week ago, almost in spite of our institutions. The political parties need to do some soul searching, not just the Democrats who you search your soul in defeat, but the Republicans as well. Why did our nominating process present to the people as finalists the two most unpopular, least trusted, least liked major party candidates on a ticket in all of American history, the 228 years since George Washington was first elected? No question, no, not close. How could the parties not have done a better job? What about the media as an institution? What about the education system from kindergarten and primaries and elementary and junior high and high schools and colleges and post-grad, with a few honorable exceptions like this university? What about the whole education system that doesn't teach kids the difference between freedom and bureaucratic enslavement, the difference between capitalism and socialism? That a Bernie Sanders could so amazingly sweep away the generation of millennials, a lot of whom are represented in this room. I know most of you or all of you didn't fall for him, but a lot of your contemporaries did. The education system let us down. The churches have let America down, and I am sorry to say it, but if moral relativism and an anything-goes sexual ethic and a libertinism that says, let's just trust people to use drugs responsibly, when there's all kinds of evidence that they can't be trusted to use drugs responsibly. The churches that have allowed us to make idols of politics, the churches have let America down. What about the entertainment industry? The question answers itself. Trump had to campaign not only against the whole Democratic Party and the whole news media, but against all of Hollywood. They're relocating to Toronto next week, I think. What about American business? What about all the corporations that want to punish the state of North Carolina for saying, men in this restroom, women in that restroom, what part of it don't you understand? Major American businesses, big companies, and Silicon Valley and the NCAA, North Carolina, we regard you as horrible and bigoted. We're going to persecute and browbeat and bully you into buying into our new anything-goes sexual ethic, our moral relativism. American business did this. American business CEOs were overwhelmingly not with Trump, one of their own. They were with Hillary. Why did the stocks futures plummet as it began to be evident that Trump was going to win? There was a panic amongst investors in Wall Street. Which was the candidate of Wall Street? The slur on Republicans is that the Republicans are the party of the rich and the party of the investment class. It ain't true anymore. It hasn't been true for years and years. American business preferred Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, and corporate statism. That's not what they're going to get from Donald Trump. They're not going to get Ludwig von Mises, I'm sorry to say. They're not going to get pure free market economics. Look at Trump's protectionism on trade, which I don't happen to agree with. I supported him in spite of that, not because of that. But American business, the entertainment industry, media, the education system, top to bottom, I mean starting in kindergarten, where kids are made into little thought police to go home and criticize their mom or dad because of something that was put on the table or something that was put in the trash. From kindergarten, and given the Heather Has Two Mommies books. Education system, the media, the political parties. It's been a big institutional fail. Am I cheering you up, students? We're leaving you this America. Don't forget, the people had the good sense to vote for a much wiser team, not just a leader of the team, Donald Trump, but a team. Democrats, as late as Sunday, thought they were going to have the Senate and might have the House, and the White House was a lock. New York Magazine was on the stands with a picture of Donald Trump on the cover with loser stamped across his face. Newsweek had to recall 750,000 copies of its print magazine because the cover declared Hillary the winner. They thought they were going to have it all, and the American people chose a team with whom they will be safer, albeit, as I've just said, my Republican Party has got some real self-examination to do about how we choose candidates and present voters with choices that live up to anything like the Bill Armstrong standard, anything close.